This is another podcast from Alpha Business Media. Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're embarking on quite a fascinating journey. We're heading to Nepal, a place where age-old traditions aren't just history lessons. They're living solutions to some really modern problems. Our mission today is to kind of unpack how Nepal, facing all this rapid change, is looking back to its traditions, looking to community power, to actually innovate. We'll explore how these, deeply rooted practices are being adapted, made into sustainable, low-cost, and surprisingly effective solutions for the future.
Yeah, and what's really insightful here, I think, is that this isn't just about nostalgia, going back to the good old days. These are practical, really pragmatic responses to, well, genuine crises. Things like climate change, resource scarcity, urbanization, the big stuff. We're going to look at some specific examples: forestry, water systems, agriculture, even traditional medicine. You'll see how communities are really taking control, using the wisdom of their past to shape their future. It's quite something.
Okay, let's dive right in then. Land and water. How are communities managing these resources? I mean, Nepal faced a serious environmental crisis not too long ago, right? Massive deforestation.
Oh, absolutely. They lost, I think the figure is over 2.2 million acres of forest cover. It was alarming.
Wow.
And that really raised the question, how do you possibly reverse that kind of widespread damage? The innovative answer was something called the Community Forestry Program. It essentially put forest management directly into the hands of local people through community forest user groups, or CFUs.
Handing over control. And the results, I hear they were pretty remarkable.
Genuinely surprising, yeah.
Yeah.
This program, and it had support from groups like IFCOFO Fund, it didn't just slow deforestation, it significantly reduced it. It restored degraded lands, and wildlife numbers actually increased.
That's incredible. And I suppose it helps with natural disasters, too, like landslides?
Exactly. Mitigating soil erosion, landslides, it directly protects communities. But,
Yeah.
Getting it off the ground, were there big hurdles in getting all these different communities on board?
Yeah. I imagine that was complex.
It absolutely was. Building consensus, integrating traditional knowledge from, over 45 ethnic groups, that was a huge task. But that integration turned out to be, a key to its success. It showed how resilient traditional systems can be when you formalize them. Plus, it pushed social equality, requiring 50% women on the decision-making committees. That was quite progressive.
That is powerful, giving power to the people most affected. But I read there are still some sticking points, like the government recognizes community rights on paper, but maybe hesitates with commercially valuable forests, sometimes even declaring community lands as protected forests without local consent. Is that a real struggle?
That's a really crucial point. Yes, there's an ongoing tension there between the central government and genuine grassroots control. The legal framework is there, it's progressive, but actually getting full economic and administrative say over lucrative resources, that's still a bit of a battle for many communities.
So empowerment on paper versus in practice, a constant negotiation.
Precisely. It's not always straightforward.
Okay, let's shift from forests to water. The Kathmandu Valley specifically. Facing a major water crisis, right?
Acute, yes. Demand is huge, something like 470 million liters a day.
Wow.
But the municipal systems, they supply maybe 106 million, a massive gap. And the result is depleted groundwater, and hundreds of these ancient rock springs, the Hidi, have just dried up.
Tell us about the Hidi system itself. It sounds incredible.
Oh, it's fascinating. It's this ingenious engineering network over 1,500 years old. It uses gravity, just gravity, to collect, filter, and distribute water from underground aquifers and ponds through canals called Rashkalo.
1,500 years old.
And built with local materials. They weren't just utilities, they were cultural hubs, religious centers, part of daily life.
And now communities are actually reviving these in places like Lalitpur and Batan.
Yes, exactly. Faced with the failures of modern systems, they're taking the lead. In Batan, the Al-Kahidi restoration, for example, they didn't just revive the spring, they set up a system to distribute water to homes nearby.
So, ancient tech for modern needs. What are the challenges in restoring something like that? Must be complex.
Incredibly complex. It needs engineering, sure, but also history, hydrology, understanding ancient flows, dealing with buried, fragile structures, often involves careful archaeological work, plus huge community effort. And this is key. It links right back to the forests we were just talking about.
Oh, how so?
Healthy forests act like natural sponges, right? They recharge the underground water sources that feed these city.
Got it.
So forest management becomes a direct investment in urban water security. It's all connected.
That interconnectedness is striking. And it seems these community solutions go beyond just infrastructure, right into agriculture, how people sustain themselves. For Nepal's smallholder farmers, what are the big pressures pushing them towards maybe traditional low-cost methods?
Well, a major one is the reliance on expensive imported chemical inputs, fertilizers, pesticides. They're a huge financial drain, especially for small farmers. And they damage the soil, pollute water, harm biodiversity over time. It's a tough cycle.
So what's the sustainable alternative they're turning to?
It often lies in revitalizing traditional practices. One great example is jehomel.
Mall.
Yeah, it's basically a homemade biofertilizer and biopesticide. It's a fermented mix using things that are readily available locally: animal urine, manure, water, and specific plants like nettle, wormwood, neem, things with natural insecticidal properties.
And this isn't just folk wisdom, is it? Science is actually looking into this.
Exactly. Organizations like ISOMOD, BBP Periwar, they're studying jehomel formulations, optimizing them, scientifically validating the traditional knowledge. They're confirming how the fermentation creates this rich microbial soup that boosts soil nutrients and deters pests naturally.
So it's like a mini biofactory for the farm.
Pretty much. And the government is even backing its expansion now, seeing the benefits.
And I love this part. Women are really leading the charge here, like the Jwala Devi Farmers Group.
Yes, they're a fantastic example. They collectively revive and refine these jehomel recipes. Their process is really organized.
Can you walk us through it? It sounds quite specific.
Sure. It shows real community knowledge sharing. They collect, say, 30 kilos of leaves from bitter or spicy plants neem, maybe Chinese berry, chop them finely, mix with about 5 kilos of cow dung, 5 liters of water, then add crushed garlic, Sichuan pepper about 2 kilos, put it all in a big barrel, maybe 60 liters, top it up with cow urine, and stir it weekly for about 3 weeks.
Okay.
The concentrate you get is then diluted. Maybe 1 part to 7 parts water for young plants, 1 to 4 for older ones. Simple, effective, local.
That's incredibly practical. And these activities, they do more than just improve farming, right? They build community.
Oh, absolutely. That's a crucial aspect. It strengthens social bonds. It empowers women, giving them control over farming, over finances, increases their standing. They really become catalysts for innovation, turning individual know-how into shared community power.
And Jabal isn't the only example, I gather. There's a whole wealth of traditional farming knowledge.
Centuries of it. Terrace farming, obviously, but also things like crop rotation with legumes to fix nitrogen, composting, using green manure. It's a deep well of knowledge.
Which raises that question about how localized this knowledge can be.
Yeah.
You mentioned a specific potato method.
Yes, the bung method, primarily in the eastern hills. It's fascinating. Farmers leave land fallow for 4 or 5 years, let weeds grow wild. Then they cut the vegetation, slice off a thin soil layer with it, pile it up, burn it, and mix the ash and burnt soil back in to create these super fertile planting pits.
Wow.
The yields are significantly higher. It's deep ecological knowledge, perfectly tuned to those specific conditions.
It really shows the sophistication. Okay, finally, let's talk about how all this connects nature, farming, and human health. Traditional medicine seems key here.
You're absolutely right. It's where you see that holistic view most clearly. Traditional medicine, especially Ayurveda, is deeply woven into Nepalese culture. Estimates suggest maybe 75%, even up to 90% of the population uses it, particularly in rural areas where it might be the only healthcare available.
And the government actually recognizes it.
Officially, yes. Ayurveda and yoga are integrated into national health strategies.
And the source of these remedies is Nepal's incredible biodiversity.
Exactly. From the highest mountains down to the tropical lowlands, you've got thousands of medicinal plants. Their properties have been known and used for centuries.
Can you give us a few examples?
Yeah.
Just to get a sense of the range.
Sure. High up, you find Yarsagumba, that caterpillar fungus, used as a tonic aphrodisiac for lung and kidney issues.
Right.
In the middle hills, there's churaito, very bitter, used for fevers, malaria, digestive problems, skin issues, diabetes. Down in the lowlands, sarpaganda, or Rauwolfia, famous for high blood pressure, anxiety, insomnia, a natural sedative, and maybe pahenbed for kidney stones, digestive troubles, and Timur, that Sichuan pepper relative, used for toothache, and it's naturally antibacterial. Just a few examples.
It's quite a natural pharmacy. And this knowledge is passed down how?
Generation to generation, often within families. Traditional healers, the Baityas, are key. Some family lines, like the Vaidyaman Bajracharya family, trace their practice back 800 years.
800 years, that's staggering. It makes you realize how much could be lost if even one plant disappears.
Precisely. And that's the threat. It's accessible, affordable, culturally familiar, so demand is high.
But the plants themselves are under threat.
Yes. Environmental degradation, deforestation, climate change, they're causing many medicinal plants to disappear. And when the plant goes, the knowledge tied to it is also at risk. It becomes theoretical, not practical.
Which really underlines the urgency for conservation, for documentation.
It's critical.
Yeah.
Comprehensive conservation, meticulous documentation. Otherwise, centuries of this medical wisdom could just vanish. It's a global loss, potentially.
So wrapping this up, what's the big picture here for our listener? All these examples, forestry, Hiti, Jamala, Ayurveda, they're not just separate stories, are they?
Not at all. They're all expressions of the same core idea, really. The power of local communities using their collective intelligence, their traditional knowledge, to create solutions. Solutions that are sustainable, self-sufficient, and crucially, culturally right for them.
It suggests a different model for innovation, doesn't it? More inclusive, low-cost, nature-based.
Exactly. It's a model that could inspire other places seeking sustainable development. Of course, let's be realistic, challenges remain.
Like what?
Deep social inequalities, caste barriers are still a reality, limiting access for some. And these community efforts, they still need stronger, more consistent government support. That whole tension we talked about.
Right. The balancing act.
But despite those challenges...
Yeah, despite the challenges, Nepal's experience holds a really powerful message for all of us, I think. It's a reminder that sometimes moving forward confidently means looking back carefully, respecting the wisdom that's already there.
Which leads to a thought maybe for you, our listener, to mull over. How might these principles adapting old wisdom, localized solutions, community-led innovation, how might they apply to problems in your own community or even in your industry? Where might some unconventional knowledge, maybe overlooked knowledge, hold the key to an unexpected solution? Something to think about.